Dan Pickup, and Jenny Durante.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. Glad that you're here with us. It's been one of those crazy mornings. I went into the office, which at PDA. By the way, I'm Carol Clements. I'm the director of the Office for Safe Schools. And I forgot my glasses there, which I can't see without glasses. These are reading glasses. I had to run over to Rainy, getting in there, first thing as they opened the door, and getting glasses so that I could at least see some part of what I'm doing today. So it's great to be with you. It's one of those things, always happens. So welcome. And you're here for the advanced course, basically, on PIMs and Safe Schools reporting. So what we'll talk about, let me turn off the sound. Let me see. So, what we'll go over is defining and reporting about an incident, what bus and fire and security drills are, and when they're to be reported, and how to report them. The discipline domain, AEDY, I keep saying AEDY, sorry, that's another hat that I wear. But AED, and when that is to be reported and how that's supposed to be input, and school security. As well as reviewing and finalizing the ACS reports when and how that needs to be done. And we have Dan here to talk about special education and requirements necessary for it, talking about that data, as well as the conflict and loading files and deletions. So each one of us will take a certain part of that and work with you through it. At the end of the session, we'll have time for questions so that we'll be able to answer anything that you need. So just so you know, you'll be receiving this, the actual PowerPoint presentation. But if you haven't already been on our website, at PD's website, and looked at or read through Volume 1 and Volume 2, great, interesting reading, but it really does give you an idea of what's going on with how to file Safe Schools reports, plus every other report that you wanted to know. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is that we are actually taking out, in Volume 2, we have all those definitions of everything that's, Safe Schools and the incidents and infraction reports and stuff like that. We're going to do like a takeout manual that we'll have on our website by the beginning of next year. So we'll have the newer additions so that it's ready for 1920. And so that we'll have that on our website. You can pull that out and it'll be like a go-to manual for Safe Schools reporting. So we're trying to make it easier for you. So where did it all start? The incident reporting and is supposed to be done, I don't know if you're familiar with Article 13 of the PA School Code, but that's where it all started, that it was mandated that each school submit an incident report on a yearly basis by July 31st of each year. And so with that, the schools, all that information goes into PIMs. And then we have someone, Jay Wasser, who will be up in a minute, to talk to you about how he compiles the data, what kind of things that he looks for in compiling the data, and then that Safe Schools report is taken from PIMS and put on our website for everyone to view. So basically, the incident covers violence. They're looking at what's going on in schools, as far as there's questions on suicidality and whether or not a child has committed suicide. On possession of a weapon, on sale of controlled substances, and also on the use of controlled substances on school property. It also includes some other areas, but which Jay will go over in a minute. So the incidents are reported into the office, and then on anything that is dealing with a criminal offense. So we take whatever we do, directed from the Crimes Code, and put it directly into our Safe Schools reporting. Okay, I don't know if you want to come up. Oh, I'm sorry, this is my book. You can stay with me. It's not going to be a minute. So, I gave you a paper about Act 44. Are you all familiar with Act 44? Raise your hand, you know about it? Okay, here we have cut. Some of you that probably don't let us know that. You got it. So Act 44 was passed in June of 2018. And it is stated that, you know, every school is supposed to create a Safe2Say team at their school to deal with calls coming in through the Attorney General's office. That's basically what it is. So there's a new hotline in the state that anybody can call into and say, hey, there's something going on, you know, whether someone is, a student said that they're, have ideations of suicidality, if they have a gun, things like that, they can call directly in. And then in turn, the Attorney General's office has trained people to understand and like put through a rubric to say, oh, this is immediate, urgent, we got to call the EMS right away, or we have to, not EMS, the 311. Okay, 911, sorry about that. 911, we have to let the school district know, we have to let the police know. And then they in turn around that information based on the urgency of that. And we have had a suicide attempt already in Pennsylvania through 911 and through the Safe2Say something line be stopped before it happens. So it is working. There are many things that are occurring, but we do need to report these things as they come into the school. And that's what we're stating in that paper that you have. And if you don't have it, we can get that to you later. It will be, you know, easily accessible. But it's saying that those reports that come in that are happening on the school property or to and from school, the same incident reporting, all have to be reported in your Safe Schools report. Okay? So not only that, but yeah, let me see. Okay, so this takes you through each of the, you know, things that have to be done, what's going on with the reporting. But next year, so right now, this year, we don't have anything in the PIMS report that says, okay, this is a Safe2Say call. But next year, we will have a switch that says, okay, we got this message from a Safe2Say call. If that's true, then we'll just have a little mark that you'll need to put into the program that says, yes, this comes from Safe2Say. So each of the schools has a Safe2Say team. There's a coordinator for each of the team, and if you're not aware of that, it would be great to get in with your superintendent or your principal to find out which of who is overseeing that. Okay, now I am going to turn it over to Jay. Jay Wasser is, as I said, he works for CASIS, which is in the Altoona area of Pennsylvania, and they actually work on compiling our data and bringing the reports to you. So, Jay, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Good morning. Okay, the data collection within is made up of what is referred to as the discipline domain, encompassing the following data templates. You'll find these in PIMS Volume 1 on the PE website. The incident template, person, incident offender, offender infraction, offender disciplinary action, offender parent involvement, and victim templates. Some changes within PIMS for the current year. We renamed the infraction code 50 to include vaping. We added 2 additional infraction codes, academic dishonesty, school code of conduct. That's primarily for the integration within special education, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. Please use code C to report expulsion and out-of-school suspension for minor infractions that do not fall into other infraction categories, but need to be reported due to the existence of an out-of-school suspension or expulsion. The expulsion and suspension data will be collected in parallel with the location fact and the incident templates via the infraction codes A and C for at least the 18-19 collection period and possibly longer, just to ensure the validity of the results they kind of balance. Generating some of the ACS reports, the primary one is the Safe Schools ACS, and the determining factor on whether or not you submit multiple school-based or an LEA-based is based upon whether or not you have more than one law enforcement responding agency. Some other ACS reports that you need to submit annually is the bus drill ACS report. What is that, about 6 years old now, I'd say? 5 or 6, something like that. The fire drill, we kind of changed this one this year. It's now the fire drill and security drill ACS report. And the due dates. Let's see, first up, we got the bus evacuation drill, 4:10. Then 6:30, we have our MOU signed and delivered. And then finally, on 7:31, the big date, we got the fire drill and school security, as well as an updated bullying policy for this year, and in conjunction with the Safe Schools ACS report. We have the email address here that it's the same as last year. Just submit it to that email address, and we'll get it reviewed as soon as possible. Some common issues. Incidents involving a fight require 2 more offenders associated with the incident. Please verify that your firearms are indeed firearms. There's often an indication of a BB gun incorrectly listed as a firearm. Please account for the time in which it takes for the the LLE to review and approve your report. They may require additional incidents based upon their review. This could take just a few days to a few weeks. And finally, inflated duplicate truancy counts. Habitually truant shall mean 6 or more school days of unexcused absences during the current school year by a child subject to compulsory school attendance under Article 13, Section 1326 of the PA School Code. Each LEA should have specific policies regarding truancy. Yep. Thank you, sir.
Okay, first, who in here is special ed? That's it. Don't be ashamed, it's okay. You're special. Okay, so those of you who don't know, the way we collect discipline data for special ed is table 9A and 13. So districts and charters elected, submit to the IU data managers. We upload it to the spot checker, make sure it's correct. Once it's correct, it's finalized, we submit it to the feds. We'll continue to do that for 18-19, that will not change, all right? That will not change. So this is what we collect the 9A, that's student level, in-school suspensions, out-of-school suspensions, removals. It's for any infraction. It doesn't have to be the 1 through 52 or 54 there are now. The A's and the C's that are the new codes have always been collected for special ed. And then we do table 13 for students that were expelled or they're receiving services while they were expelled. So again, that's not going to change at all. So we want to collect everything now in Safe Schools and be able to create a 9A and a 13 from Safe Schools data. So we have to add a couple fields. So we have the primary disability, which we need to know the disability at the time of the incident. So that's why that field is there. Then there will be situations that I'll talk about where the incident will happen where you as the district or the charter school will not be imposing the discipline. Maybe not you will be or another district or a CTC. So we need to know where that student came from. So that's field 21. And we talked about, Jay talked about codes A and C being added. Everybody okay so far? Yeah, sure. Okay, so this is who reports now. There is a handout, not for this session, but for the other session. So eventually when everything's online in a couple weeks, there's 3 scenarios. One at the IU, a student at an IU classroom, or a student at a licensed private academic. That gives you an idea of how things should be collected and reported in Safe Schools. It's not cut and dry. The bottom line is typically whoever imposes the discipline should report. But that's not, again, there are certain situations, I know I talked to some IUs where they have IU classrooms and they decided they're going to impose the discipline, contact the district or the charter school and say, charter school, you report it, or district, you report it in Safe Schools. Somebody has to report it. So, there's, let me give you a situation. There's an IU classroom in District A. And there's kids from District A, there's kids from District B, District C that all attend that classroom. So a student from District C gets in trouble in a District A building. So District A, even though they broke District A rules, District A is not going to report that student. District A doesn't have to report that student for anything. They're not educating, They would never report that student. So the IU and District B, or C, whatever I said, would get together and get together and say, okay, we as a district, you broke these rules, this student broke these rules, here's what we should do, 2 days out of school suspension. So the district imposed that discipline, they will report it in Safe Schools. Okay? There are certain situations where a student will be at a licensed private academic or some non-PIMs reporting. Again, only school districts, charter schools, IUs, and CTCs report for Safe Schools. So they have a student that's outplaced at a licensed private, they get in trouble, licensed private may issue the discipline, you will get notified somehow by the licensed private. So in the past, you put that in your 9A. So now you, because the licensed private can't submit PIMs, you would have to submit that in PIMs, in Safe Schools. Okay? Again, this is every offense, doesn't matter, including the A's and the C's. So like I mentioned, we will have a 9A and a 13 in cognos. So as you're doing your 9A, your special ed department is doing their 9A that gets reported to the IU, you can also run a 9A look exactly the same. And they should match as the year goes on. Also, because there may be some LEAs reporting discipline for your students on your behalf, we'll have another report that will show you all the students that were yours that were disciplined and reported by someone else. Again, chances are, if communication's right, you should know about it anyway, but in case you don't, if your reports don't match up, this is a good way to look at it. So, if everything works out, so what we plan on doing is taking a statewide 9A out of Safe Schools and then comparing that to the 9A using our current process. We'll compare that, and if the data is close, and again I said this yesterday, I don't know what close means yet, but if we get close, we will eliminate 9A and 13 and do everything in PIMS for 1920. But we'll see how it goes. We plan on having some kind of comparison report at the end of the year. We'll take 9A from PIMS and 13 and then compare it with your 9A and send you some kind of report. We're not sure yet if it will be just an aggregate count or if we'll do it student by student. Any special ed questions? Yeah. Yes?
So who will be reporting students who are placed in facilities that don't report?
You as the district in charge. So you'll get some kind of notification that there was a discipline event and you would report that. Yes?
So we should basically communicate with the other facilities that don't report, maybe with a letter saying, hey, we need this information. I mean, they should be sending it anyway.
They should now with 9A the way it exists now, there's not as much information that you need to get it in the 9A versus Safe Schools. There's some more pieces of information you need. So yes, you will have to get whatever information you need to fill in those templates. That's not me. Okay.
Good morning. I'm Tony Durante. I work in the Office of Data Quality, and at this point we're going to talk a little bit about helping you ensure that you're uploading quality data and have quality data in the warehouse. We have some new data quality engine rules this year. Don't worry, the logic behind the rules hasn't changed, just that we're actually going to enforce these now. The incident offender template. If the arresting code is yes with a weapon or yes without a weapon, then you have to have the local law enforcement notified indicator set to yes. No stretch of logic there. Each incident must have at least one incident offender record. Each incident offender must have a person record. Each incident offender must have an incident offender infraction record. Each incident must have a victim record, unless you have an academic code of conduct, student code of conduct, or a fighting incident. For fighting, you don't have a victim there, you have two students who engaged in a fight together. Each incident victim record must have a corresponding person record. One we'd like you to look at, just using the error reports only, each incident offender should have an incident offender disciplinary action record. We recognize that at the time you report the incident, you might not have a disciplinary action. We can wait for that, but as you get toward the close of your collection, close of your reporting, run this report to make sure you haven't missed anything. Talking a little bit about deletes now. Occasionally you have data that's been uploaded that you found to be incorrect or you want to change it for some reason. Your first step, contact our friends at PIMs Application Support. They'll send you one of these handy forms that you can fill out, check all the appropriate boxes, send it in to us, and we will delete the records you need out of there. Because there are so many tables, and because of the relationship among those tables, sometimes we can't delete just what you need. We wind up deleting a whole set of data, and you'll have to re-upload that entire set. But let's go through these a little bit. We'll go through them one at a time and see how this works. We can delete your entire incident template. Okay? And if you want us to do that, just check the first row there where it says entire template. We can also delete your incidents by location code or by multiple location codes. We can delete by incident ID. And again, we can delete for multiple incident IDs. Like most other deletes, we ask that if you need us to do more than 10 things, in this case, if you need us to delete more than 10 incidents, please be prepared to have us delete the entire template, and you can re-upload what we need to have in there. The incident offender template, you can delete either the entire template or for a specific location code or multiple location codes. The next few, we can't delete individual records from them, we only delete the entire template. This is the incident offender disciplinary action template, the incident offender infraction template, and the incident offender parent involvement template, and the incident victim template. Again, we can't delete specific records from these, the whole template has to go. I'm sorry, incident victim, I'm sorry, we can do this one by location code. Person template, we can do the entire template, or we can do it by person ID. Let's say that you're completely unhappy with your data submission, you have enough errors in there, you want everything to go. If you ask us to delete the incident template and the person template, all of these templates will disappear. Because of the relationship between the tables, we have a cascading effect. If we delete the incident template, we'll delete the incident offender template. And by deleting the incident offender template, we'll delete the next 4 templates that are all related to that offender. I'm sorry, the next 3. There's a double in there. Incident offender infraction, disciplinary action, and parent involvement will all be deleted if we delete the incident offender template. Also, if we delete the incident, we will delete the incident victim template. Coming from the other direction, deleting the person template. You'll see the same effect here. We will delete everything except the incident itself. We will delete everything relating to the offenders and the victims. Deletes from the district fact template. We use the district fact template if you're reporting that you had no, I'm sorry, wrong one. You're reporting details about your security people. This fact category 1, security, is what we need to delete from this template. Location fact template's a little bit more involved. We do quite a few things with this template. the original Safe Schools uploads for truancy, expulsion, suspension, or incidents. We can delete these just using fact category 1. Most of the time when folks want this deleted, they want to take all 4 types out of there, and that's fine. If you find, however, that you just have an issue with the truancy data or any combination of those, we can delete just for that specific fact category. Sticking with fact category 1, if we drop down to the AED collection, we can delete your entire AED collection using just fact category 1 where it's AED. A little more detail using fact category 2. We can delete your 0 counts for incidents. We can delete truancy, expulsion, and suspension by either grade, ethnicity, or gender, or any combination of those. Again, if it gets too complicated, it may just be easier for you to have us take the whole thing out and you upload it. For AEDs, using fact category 2, we can get out of the individual record for location. We can delete a single AED record there. For your evacuation drills, here's where you're going to definitely want to use both category 1 and category 2. Because that's how we'll distinguish your bus drills from your fire or security drills. Note about the fire security drills, if you want that entire collection taken out, please note fire and security on the tape. Any of the location fact template deletes, we can do them as I've described. We can also do them by location. Note about your error reports. Because when we do deletes, we can break some of those DQE rules I talked about. If we delete your incident offender template, you will have a lot of incidents without offenders. Okay, the DQE can't catch that because it happened after we went past DQE. So please run these error reports, incidents without offenders and incidents without infractions, at any time after you've done deletes and re-uploaded to make sure that you've got everything uploaded properly. Okay, so far on deletes. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about AED bus fire and security drills. Something new for this year, you were all required to do one security drill in the first 90 days of school to replace one of your fire drills. You're allowed, after the first 90 days of school, to replace 2 additional fire drills with security drills. We've had a lot of questions about the April 10th due date. We recognize that because you're using the fire/security drill template to report your security drills, and it's difficult to upload that template before you've completed all your drills. It's going to be hard to report that first required security drill before April 10th. What we've done is we've moved the certification for that security drill into the bus drill ACS. We've given a new name so you can recognize that it's both the bus drill ACS and the security drill certification form. When you get your bus drills completed, run the ACS. There'll be 2 signature blocks on there, one for the bus drill data, one for the security drill certification. Get those into Safe Schools by April 10th and you'll be in compliance there. Really nothing new this year about bus drills. Nothing new about the AED collection this year. Do want to remind you about the AED collection. We send, we pre-create these files for you. We give you the opportunity, give you space for 16 AEDs at each of your locations. And we've got a couple I use that actually have more than 16 AEDs, but they have one location code. If you fall into that situation where you don't have enough rows on that form to report all of your AEDs, send us an email. the data collection address, that's ra-ddq data collection at pa.gov. And just let us know how many spaces you need on that. We'll recreate a template for you and send it out to allow you to report them. And I think that's about all I have on that subject. There's some contact information for you. And I think we can open it up now to questions for everything.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, I saw a lot of people taking pictures and things like that of the slides. You will have this available to you on the website, so the whole presentation will be, yours to use and keep and cherish. So just wanted to share that. And also, I just wanted to also let you know that how important the work that you do is, to me especially, because I use this data, I write grants for the state for Safe Schools initiatives, so like stopping school violence, bullying prevention, mental health issues, drug and alcohol, so all those things fall under my domain. And so I look at the data that you input into the PIMs and then use that to say, wow, these school districts or these schools are showing issues, and maybe they could use a little extra support, so this is what I can do to help do that. So that's why, it's very crucial for you, as far as I'm concerned, to have that great accurate data so that I can better assist your schools. And I'm sure your schools also are looking at the data to use that in writing grants. But in the meantime, does anyone have any questions? I'm going to ask everybody to come up here so that, just in case, we have someone with a microphone going around. Does anybody have any questions at all? There's one in the back.
The security drill submission, I thought that was part of the fire drill submission, and I thought we didn't have to submit that until June or July.
That's right. Because of some of the reporting issues and because of the requirement certification to make at the same time the bus drill certification is made, you're doing the reporting in the fire and security drill template. But on the bus drill ACS, we leave a place for your chief school administrator to certify that they did the required security drill. You'll report that later in the fire and security drill template. The reason you don't want to report early on that to get that security drill in and then catch up is because if you report and you tell us that you did not do the April, May, and June drills yet because they didn't happen yet, we're going to have to wait that so that you can tell us later on that they did happen. So wait till the end, get your drills done on time, certify it in April, and report it later on.
Here's a follow-up, another question.
I'm sorry, just one more question related to the offenders and victims. It's my understanding that there are more infractions other than just fighting and academic and conduct that do not require victims, like tobacco, vaping, that kind of thing.
Are there more? It sounds like I may have lied to you about that.
Yes, please review volume 2 for the specifics on those infraction codes in regards to not reporting or requiring a victim.
QE errors.
I'm sorry?
So we won't get DQE errors if our vaping incidents don't have victims?
No, you will not.
Any other questions?
So I understand that we're supposed to put all students now in any incident, disciplinary action code, whatever, S3 through S9, whether regardless of special ed status. I'm just curious why we're putting regular ed students in why we need to put all students and not just the special ed if they're just comparing table 9A and table 13.
The reason for this is we're actually trying to, because we pulled in the special education information, with that, you're already reporting that information for the special ed. Why not get rid of the collection within location fact and streamline everything, basically? So now you'll be able to use A and C to report what was previously done in summary on the location fact, and eventually we'll get rid of that. For now, we're going to do it in parallel.
Because it's a whole lot more work, and we're probably going to have to hire somebody else just for our instance.
Well, the work is being done for special education, is it not? I mean, eventually it'll work out.
In table 13, do you collect in-school suspensions? And if so, no.
Table 13 is just expulsions. And all we're asking is how many students, special ed, were, while they were expelled, how many received services, how many didn't, and how many regular ed received services, how many didn't. Just expulsions, not out-of-school suspensions.
What about table 9?
Table 9 is everything, but it's not that specific question. Table 9 is, we get in-school suspensions, out-of-school suspensions, expulsions, removal.
So if in-school suspensions aren't included in the incidents, how are they going to match?
How they match what?
Well, you're only collecting out-of-school suspensions in the incident template.
This has to match for
Out-of-school and
special ed.
expulsions.
For special ed,
For everybody.
For special ed, every incident. So an in-school suspension for student code of conduct gets reported in Safe Schools.
I thought it was just out-of-school suspension and expulsion.
Not for regular ed. I'm sorry, not for special ed, every single incident, regardless of why.
I don't know what my system did, but
Again, that's with 9A, that's what we do with 9A. Every single incident is reported. And there is a field in I don't know which template in Safe Schools for an expulsion. There's a checkbox that says what did the student receive services while they were expelled. So that's what we can do for them.
When did you say the email went out and who it was from with the template specs or the template guides?
You're asking about the reporting tools for Boston fire drills and the AEDs?
Yes.
Okay, one of them went out on January 18th. I think that was the AEDs. Boston fire went out on January 25th, or vice versa. I get mixed up a little bit. If you don't find them in your inbox, you might look for them in your spam or junk filter. They're sent from our do not reply account. It's ra-ed no reply pa.gov. We're starting to think that sometimes the no reply in there is sort of triggering your filters. In any event, if you don't have it, email us at the data collection team. That's ra-edq data collection at pa.gov. We have all those saved. We'll resend them for you. Not a problem.
Hi, I'm a comprehensive CTC, and when a student is expelled, they are withdrawn from our school and sent back to their district of residence. So we would not provide any educational services. It would be the responsibility of the district of residence. So when we report, it's not going to match your table with ours because we aren't providing educational services.
I'm pretty sure that it doesn't matter who's providing service, as long as someone is. So you would check that box, yes, they're being sent back to the district and receiving services.
Okay, thanks.
So I have two questions. The first one that I have is that we changed the PDE 50 to include vaping. My high school had some other code that they were using, and I've been trying to talk to my admin about making sure they're using the PDE 50 instead of the other one, so everything's coded correctly. Should I be delivering that message? They made some vape code that's not a PDE one that says electronic cigarette or vape, and I'm you should be using the PDE 50 for tobacco / vaping since that's been added. Is that accurate, the message that I'm giving them?
Yes, that is.
Okay, and then my second question was, if we have a student that has been out of school suspension, that isn't necessarily in one of the PDE numbers, we should be changing them to the code C, so that's recorded appropriately as well?
If they would not match one of the, I believe it's infraction code 1 through 52, but there is an out-of-school suspension, yes, you can use code of conduct C.
Okay, and we would have to, if they did something that wasn't necessarily falling into PDE numbers, we would
Correct.
change from our code to code C, so it's
Correct.
in there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I just want to follow up with hers. So sometimes within your student information system, you can have a code and it can be completely different with what PDE has, but it's cross-locked under the PIMs option. So that might be what they're doing. So they may have named their code something completely different, but it's cross-locked with the state code.
I don't think I have to answer that, is that correct?
The security drill that's required, were the schools notified that is a requirement within the first 90 days of school?
Carol's nodding, yes, they were.
So our superintendents were required?
That's actually in statute, so all the laws, went out in June. Any other questions?
There's one in the back of the
There's
left.
two, yeah.
While the microphone's getting there, I should clarify that thing about victims and incident codes AC and 17. Those are the new ones for this year. They are not the only ones. Sorry about that.
Is there a victim for a long threat? Does there have to be a victim?
I believe with the victim, isn't there against building, if I recall? Yeah, you use it, I'm sorry? Against property, yeah, within the victim template, you can choose against property.
Does it have to be, or is that something that can be eliminated?
I believe you do have to have that one.
And you're right, that one goes on there.
Okay, yes, that one absolutely does.
I'm not sure if this is a question to ask here, but it's kind of a DQ question maybe. In your actions, you have it broken down into the sanctions, and then below it is remedial, so R1s and those things. Is it one, if you have an out-of-school suspension and they end up in an R1, do you need one of both categories if one of the remedial actions takes place? Or can you use just one of the remedial actions? Does that make sense? You have two sets in volume 2 of the actions, sanctions and then remedial.
I don't believe you need to, I don't believe the R's are required, but the S's are.
Okay,
But you can add an S and an R, that's just fine.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Just a quick question about the security drill. So in April, when we report the bus drill, and we check off no, that we haven't completed our security drills, then do we have to re-report the bus drill template?
No, there's no provision for reporting the security drill on the bus drill reporting template.
Oh.
On the ACS is a signature block where it says, we did the security drill,
Okay.
And that's completely separate from actually reporting the security drill and PIMs.
So if you sign no, or you don't sign, then do you have to resubmit your ACS once you do complete the drills at the end of the year?
If in April you are not able to say that you did the security drill that's required in the first 90 days of school, by April, it's too late to go back and get that first required drill done.
Right, but you could get the two.
You can do your other two, and your other two optional drills, you would report them in the fire/security drill template, and that's fine, but that won't affect your certification.
Okay.
Remember, the certification says you did the first one in the first 90 days.
So you have to do it in the first 90 days.
Right. Once that 90 days is passed, you can't go back and
Right.
fix it.
So it was either or. I thought it was either or. You could do the one in the 90 days or the two optional, or the two within the school year after the 90 days. But that's not the case. I misunderstood.
That's okay. The first one's required, the other two are optional.
I see.
You
Okay.
can do as many security drills as you want. You can replace two after the first 90 days. You can replace two fire drills with security drills after the first 90 days.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, here's one.
Is that 90 calendar days or 90 school days?
It's 90 calendar days.
I have 6 buildings, and what if only 4 of the 6 did the security drill? Would I still mark yes, or would I mark leave it blank because not all 6 of my buildings did it?
If we were giving a prize for stumping somebody.
Two of my schools didn't mark on my spreadsheet if they did or not, so I just want to make sure like I'm submitting accurate data. I know my high school and my middle school did, and 2 of my other elementaries did, but 2 of them are just kind of like, and I haven't gotten an answer. So I'm thinking that maybe they didn't, but a majority of my schools did, so I didn't know which one I should put.
Well, let me ask Carol. If we don't have full compliance at all the locations, should they be saying, yes, I did this? If we don't have full compliance at all of their locations, is it safe to say that they can't sign it because they didn't comply in the other case? I don't think there is, but if someone's going to change that report, it's probably us. So,
Thank you. We'll be changing the report yet again.
we will take that little bit of confusion back with us and see about that. In the meantime, if you can shoot us an email with that question, that will help keep that near the top of our pile.
Can you shoot that question to me right here? Thank you. And also, I don't know your name. You asked a question also that we were not able to answer. Wait, yes, you.
Yes. No, I was just saying,
Okay.
they were that she would have to have her code switch directly. Don't, you crosswalk that behind you.
Okay. All right, I just want to make sure that you were, okay. Anyone else with questions? All right, well, thank you for your time. Have a great day.